Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and just like another time, we have another show running for you guys. And ladies, we have a special guest, Athena Brownson. She is a powerhouse entrepreneur who turned pain to purpose. She has a pretty awesome story. I mean, wow, you thought you had a hard time. You needed to understand what she had to go through, because she not only endured 9 knee surgeries, yes, 9 of them. She also had 2 neck operations and a battle with chronic Lyme disease, but none of that stopped her. So Athena, she reinvented her life and also her career, and she became one of Colorado's most trusted real estate agents and is a leading voice for resilience and mindset transformation. So all my Detroit Lions fans, yes, you got that grit. And you know me, I have my family, my mom and dad from Michigan, so big shout out to Michigan. She knows a little bit about that grit. And we're going to learn about that today with her story. So first and foremost, Athena, I know you got so much stuff on your calendar, but thank you for taking some space for our audience. How you doing?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I would rather not be anywhere but here. So excited to dig into it, because it has been a story, to say the least.
Well, we have to start off with the cliffhanger I just put out there. 9 surgeries on your knee.
Yeah.
2 neck operations. You got to unpack that for us, because wow.
You know, I'm up to 27 surgeries now after battling chronic illness. But my past life, I like to say, I was a professional freestyle skier. So I grew up in a little mountain community, and I was raised on snow. And honestly, I attribute all of the grit, all of the resilience that I have later in life needed to survive, to be completely honest. And I learned those tactics, those basics, through really incredible coaching, through being very accountable and disciplined and on the mountain every single day, no matter how cold it was. So when you're throwing yourself through the air 100 feet and doing tricks, it's not really conducive to not getting hurt. So, you know, blowing knees out, breaking necks, breaking legs, it was all part of it. And, you know, it did teach a resilience that I don't know many things in life can teach you. But I am extremely grateful for all of those hardships that I went through, because it's what prepared me for my future unexpected illness.
Well, as a professional skier, I mean, kind of unpack that for the audience as well. When you got into that, I mean, was that something you grew up always wanting to give a shot, or is it something that you just said, you know, you woke up one day, that looks like fun? Tell us how that happened.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to say it's in my blood. So my dad was a professional skier. He was one of those crazy people that went down the mountain as fast as he possibly could and would get clocked at miles per hour. So he had me in a little baby Bjorn on his chest when I was 3 weeks old, and I was up on the mountain skiing. Pretty sure he'd get arrested for doing that these days, but back in the day, it was okay to do that. So I grew up on snow. I learned how to ski when I learned how to walk. I was constantly in coaching programs, just perfecting my craft, and I absolutely loved it. It was, you know, that was my community. That was my family. My coaches were my heroes, to be completely honest. And when I hit 15 years old, I went pro. And that basically just meant that I was getting paid by different companies to travel around the world and chase snow. I skied about 300 days a year. When I wasn't skiing, I was probably rehabbing an injury because, like you said, I had, you know, just 9 knee surgeries in a decade. So I did a lot of rehabbing, but skiing was in my blood, and it's something that I loved so much. But unfortunately, it's a very short-lived sport. You know, it's very rare to continue skiing up, you know, up until your mid-20s. I think I retired when I was 24, and it was a doctor that sat me down and said, well, it was my go-to surgeon, I should say. He said, Athena, if you keep doing what you're doing, which was, again, hauling myself off 100-foot jumps, and I competed in X Games and Dew Tour, I was training for the Olympics. But he said, if you keep doing this, you're going to need 2 knee replacements before you're 30 years old. And that was, a moment of identity crisis, because I didn't really know anything outside of skiing. I didn't know who I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. But it took me all the way into my mid-20s, and I wouldn't have changed it for anything.
Well, you're better than me, because if I was trying to attempt to ski, I'd probably be floating in the clouds right now. So,
well, I'm glad you're here.
Right? That's self-awareness, right? I'm so glad I'm aware of the microphone. So when you think about the process of getting to that level to get paid and actually do that for, X amount of time professionally, that means you took it serious. That means you had long, early mornings and long days. That means you had some sacrifices being made. So when you think about an amateur athlete versus someone who actually is getting paid and doing this for a living, what are some of the values that you were able to translate from your athletic world into the business world?
Yeah, I always say that skiing was the best business school I ever could have gone to, because I had incredible, world-class coaches that I had the opportunity to learn from like a sponge. But what they taught me was the principles of accountability, of showing up, of discipline. If I didn't hit the mountain at a certain time, like I said I was going to be there, if I missed dryland training, or if I was 5 minutes late for dryland training, that meant I was running laps for 3 hours. And if I was late for ski practice, I was hiking the mountain that day and probably doing burpees in between runs. So there was a very high level of accountability, discipline. And I think when you're operating in that arena, the principles of accountability and grit and resilience really show up, and you don't necessarily as a young person realize that those are the things that you're repeating. And I think muscle memory, whatever you continually repeat, it creates those neural pathways in your brain. So I had no idea that I was creating these principles that would serve me so well later in business. But when I look at my business today, being in real estate, it's an extremely, you could say volatile business. It has its ebbs and flows, but they really showed me what it meant to show up at your greatest potential every day, and just show up every day, do the best that you possibly could, show up 1% better than the day you were before. And like we were talking about before we got on, if you're incrementally progressing whatever it is that you're doing, by the end of a certain period of time, that's going to compound on one another, and you're going to end up at a place that is so much closer to your goals than you ever could have dreamed. So really, it was the best business school I could have asked for, and I still thank my coaches for that.
Once again, listen, I Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Athena Brownson. She has a website. Go to AthenaBrownson, realtor.com. And I want to talk about teamwork, because when you think about business, you're doing what most people don't have the knowledge and heart to do. And it's not their fault. It's just that anybody can say, I want to do a business. I mean, Larry, anybody can say that.
Yeah.
But saying you want to start a business, versus actually doing it, versus actually having real tears coming out your eyes, because you're like, oh my God, what did I sign myself up for? That, in my opinion, can probably be parallel with being an athlete, because if you're trying to be top of your game, then there's a lot of people on your team that depends on you. Just like in the business world, there's a lot of clients and people are dependent on your services. Yeah. So kind of compare that with the audience.
Yeah, they are such an amazing comparison. And when I look at the principles that skiing taught me, first and foremost, I realized that in any arena of life that I was going to be in, I needed to be an entrepreneur, because with skiing, whatever I was putting in was the amount that I would get out. And when I started doing a 9-to-5 job prior to finding real estate, I found that there was a very low ceiling on how high I could take the business. And I had the entrepreneurial spirit of never wanting to give up and having the sky be the limit. And I think it takes a little bit of a psychosis to want to be an entrepreneur, because it does take such hard work and so much discipline. But when I found that you build out a team around you of people that have already accomplished what it is that you want to be accomplishing. So I had the most incredible mentors, coaches. Again, I've always had coaching within my business career. I am a firm believer that you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't have someone looking over your business from a bird's eye view, you don't have someone showing you where your weak spots are. And then building a team around you of people that have the same vision and are in alignment with your values, your goals, where you want to take the business. But also, as someone that was a one-person sport, skiing is a one-person sport. It was me and my coach, and I'm an only child. So the idea, the skill of delegation was not something that I was proficient in. That was something that I really lacked. But when I did end up getting sicker, I realized that I needed to have a team around me that could support me and really be there for myself and my clients when I wasn't able to. And I looked at what my strengths were in business and what my weaknesses were. And I found team members that were excellent and thrived at the things that I was not good at, so that we really complemented each other well. And what I learned is when you're building a team and opening up these opportunities for, getting things done that aren't necessarily your forte, you end up empowering someone else to succeed and to thrive in their arena. So I've been really fortunate to have, the most ride or die team that I could have ever asked for. But I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have amazing mentors, coaches, and my team members. It's the greatest blessing, and it's something that I would encourage everyone to really, be aware of who is in your space and how they're elevating you to be the best version of yourself, and how they're helping you get through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because, life doesn't always go to plan, and that's usually where the most growth happens.
Yeah, if business was a cookie cutter, everybody'd be rich.
Amen.
Out there. But that's why you got to in this show, because we had entrepreneurs like Athena Brownson giving you some secret sauce on how they were able to overcome those pain points, because life is never going to be fair. But the beauty of life is that you're living. And people understand that when you decide to start living, that's when all the violent solos, those hit wonders, right, that we put into ourselves and to other people, once we put the plug on that crap, excuse my language, life seems to open up. It's like the sun actually has been rising. You just haven't been looking out the window.
Exactly. And, one of my mentors would he's big in quantum theory, and he would call that entanglements, and really being aware of what people and what environments you're putting yourself in that are either pulling you up or pulling you down. And when you start to cut out the environments, the people, the activities that do not elevate you, the doors that start to open and the growth that comes from that is something that is so remarkable, and it happens quickly. But, I would urge everyone to really understand what entanglements you have in your life, because when you start being aware of your energy and who is helping you to be your best and who is not helping you to be your best, man, things start changing.
It's funny. When you look in the mirror, sometimes it's the person in the mirror that's holding you back as well. And we can be our own biggest self-inflicted wounds. We can be our own negative talk person. We can be our own, like, hey, buddy, get out the way. And the sooner we can realize that, once again, it's like the sun rises. It's like, oh, it's been rising. I just been, like, preoccupied with things.
I've had my head in a hole.
Literally. Yeah. So my next question is, when it comes to being an agent, being in real estate, I can only imagine it's cutthroat. It sounds like, looks like, that's something I see on my feed all the time. Hey, be an agent, get in real estate. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people really truly understand unless they actually eat and breathe it. So for our audience, kind of explain what's like maybe an underrated skill that separates the good agents from the average.
Yeah, real estate is one of those industries that from the outside it looks very glamorous and like maybe not a ton of hard work goes into it. But I tell you, it's one of the most demanding industries and professions that I could imagine. It takes, we don't necessarily have set work hours. Usually, our clients do have set work hours. So we're then working with them from 5 to 9 p.m. after you've been working already from 8 to 5. So the hours are long. But the thing about real estate that I personally love so much is that you have the ability to create really deep, authentic relationships with people and actually serve them by, imparting wisdom and knowledge about how they can build long-term financial wellness. And I think there's also a lot of shiny objects in life right now for every industry. As technology coming out, there's so much coming at us that oftentimes I see a lot of realtors or, I think this can probably go for most industries, but we forget that the way that we got to be successful is by implementing the basics really well. And when we start to get that success, it's really easy to get distracted by those shiny objects, by, different opportunities that sure, you should absolutely always be open to new opportunities. But when you forget about implementing the basics of your business on a daily basis, that's when you're going to see these huge ebbs and flows in your business. And I know that if I'm not making my phone calls and meeting people face to face for coffee and lunch and doing my social media videos every day, and I've got my checklist of things that no matter what the day throws at me, I have to get these items done. And if I'm getting these things done consistently, then my business is going to continue to thrive. It's when I get distracted or maybe quote unquote too busy, there's always room to be more efficient. We don't necessarily, busyness is not glamorous. It's something that I think was glamorized for a long time, but now we're taking a step back and recognizing that to be busy isn't, the ideal. That doesn't create balance in your life. This is an industry that's very hard to create balance. But again, when I'm doing the basics really well, I find more balance in my life. I find more balance in my business. And then it opens up time for bringing in new opportunities and learning new skill sets that otherwise I maybe would be doing, but putting off the things that actually keep my business running.
And speaking of putting off, I just had a thought. When you get older in life, like you understand how important maintenance is, because it's like this, man. Good maintenance looks like you fill up the gas tank when it's half full versus waiting when it's almost at E. And I feel like that's the same thing with life. If you wait till you completely gassed out, yeah, you're going to be snappy. Yeah, you're going to be cranky. Yeah, you ain't going to get no good sleep. You ain't going to be counting sheep. You're going to be counting bills and issues and red flags and yada, yada, yada. And you're going to miss the sunset because you can't look out the window because you're so busy putting out fires. And by this time, you probably have a forest fire. So it's about maintenance, man. So for our audience, kind of touch on why maintenance in personal and professional world is key to success.
Absolutely. What you just said was, I'm such a believer in that. And honestly, it did take me burning myself out multiple times before I really cued into the fact that if I didn't continually create almost a toolbox of what was necessary in my life in order to keep me from burning out, then I would continue to repeat the same cycle. So for me, I know that if I'm not working out at least 4 or 5 days a week to clear my mind, that I am going to be more reactive. I'm not going to show up as the most compassionate communicative version of myself. I know that if I'm having a bad health day, a flare-up day, that if I don't take a little bit of time to really, use modalities that are helping me heal, like a hyperbaric chamber, red light therapy, cryotherapy, the list goes on. But I build these things into my schedule every week. I mean, even going to therapy, making sure that I'm addressing anything negative that is stored within my body, because I really do believe that we take stressors and we take whatever trauma in our lives, and it tends to store in our bodies. And if we're not processing that with hopefully a professional in some way, then it's going to show up in other aspects of our life by burnout or illness or, mental health issues. So I make sure that when I'm planning out my week, that the things that are keeping me balanced and are keeping me moving forward and not going to the place of complete burnout, I start with those things. They're the foundation of how I build my week. And then I build my business around it. Because if I'm not showing up as the best version of myself in business, because I'm not doing the things that keep me mentally sane and keep my body moving and healthy, then I'm not going to be able to serve anyone well. So that really is the priority in my life now, but it's taken a very, very long time to have that realization and to get there, because I think we all have this, culture of hustle culture where we need to be working nonstop, and, we don't take breaks, and you don't have time to go to the gym, and after work you're going to networking events, and then you're going back home and getting your emails done, and that's just not a sustainable model. So when we take a step back and put ourselves at our well-being at the forefront of everything that we do, we're going to be able to show up so much better. And that's a beautiful thing for everyone around you and for yourself.
A couple of things. Remember, a wise person told me that in life, you have a toolbox, and throughout life, you pick up certain tools. But the magic part is when you start to understand what each tool does and what it's meant for. Because to your point, we can just be trying to be busy. I'm guilty of that. Look at my old videos on YouTube. You're going to laugh out loud. But the point is that you get to understand where you are and what is necessary for you to get better. It's not about being the best. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You want to be the best, have that mindset. But we sometimes, like in college, we try to skip prerequisites, right? We want to try to look smart, be smart, but what we are doing in real time is not matching with the projection of what we want to be in the future.
Yes.
So if you want to skip steps, you need to learn how to walk first. Well, you might have to learn how to crawl first, but me one out the gate want to start running. And we're talking about be busy. You might be busy doing the wrong thing. It's like having the wrong ingredients and you're in the kitchen cooking up some mess.
Amen. And I think that's the case. Oftentimes we do want to go through steps A, B, and C and want to get to Z immediately, but it takes, it does take a toolkit of understanding what your needs are in order to get through. So, for me, waking up with chronic illness every day is very difficult. And I know that if I bump my favorite music in the morning, that's going to get me out of bed and it's going to get me excited to go for the day. So that's part of my toolkit. That's a tool that I've learned that is absolutely necessary. Again, going to the gym, making sure that I'm getting movement in my body. That's part of my toolkit, because if I'm not prioritizing these things and I'm just filling up my time with busy action, which is usually not actually being productive or efficient. I think when we give ourselves these unlimited time scales of I'm going to work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 10 p.m., you're usually not being as efficient as you possibly can or as effective as you possibly can. So when you put yourself, on a very strict timetable with yourself at the center, making sure that you're taking care of mind, body, and soul, then that's going to make sure that the time that you are working is not just busy, ineffective action. It's going to be productive action that's getting you closer to where you want to be and closer to where what your goals are.
Well, once again, listen, I Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Athena Brownson. Go to her website, AthenaBrownsonRealtor.com. I have a homework assignment for our viewers and our listeners. What I want you to do, and it's a challenge, but I know somebody's going to do it. And I just need one person, man. That's all I need, because it's amazing what one person can do. And I'm going to do it too. So that's 2 people. If we get 3 people,
do it.
This is all you got to do. Share this video one time. That's my homework assignment. Share this video one time. That's it. If you do that, appreciate you, because what you're doing is you're going to help the next person see this video and watch this video and do the same thing. Repeat that process. Keep sharing it. Tell your friends, tell your family. The reason why is because what is being said in this is not going to just be something that you are going to be able to attack in one day. This is going to be like a life shifting situation where, okay, I'm going to have my day 1 right now. I'm not going to wait till January, right? I'm not going to do the whole new year, new me crap. Okay, that was cute when you're growing up. Hey, man, we getting gray hairs now, so we really got to be on this right now. So homework assignment, share this video and go to her website. I'm going to give it again, AthenaBrownsonRealtor.com, because what she is saying, if you're paying attention in the classroom, is that pain is not something you can avoid. It's real life. Life can be, a comedian and trying to make you laugh, because it's like you have plans and life is said, wait till you see what I have tomorrow.
Yes.
We had to learn to just deal with it. And last thing I'm going to say is, when you're dealing with pain in life, you still have the choice. Are you going to make the best of it? Or are you going to say, woe is me, and try to have a contest of having how many people can feel bad for you? Well, guess what, man? Your neighbor has problems too.
Yeah.
They're just faking it, man. They out there trying to make their life good, and you're out here just sitting feeling bad for yourself. Now, if you need professional help, disclaimer, go get that professional help. What I'm saying is, stop waiting for the pain to go away, because sometimes pain, heard this from someone else, says it can become your superpower.
It is.
If you let it.
And I truly believe that the most difficult, painful times in our lives, when we feel like, nothing is going right, or maybe you've lost your health or relationship, job, whatever it might be, the unfortunate reality is that a lot of times it's easy to become the victim of the circumstance. But when we realize that the greatest growth in life happens when things are not going to plan, when things are not, great and sparkly and everything's perfect, that's not when you learn about yourself. That's not when you grow as a person. You grow through difficult times. So when you're going through something in life, whether it's big or small, everyone has their own, adversity. And I don't believe that anyone is greater than another. They're all just relative. Remember, it's an opportunity to actually lean in, because these are the moments in your life that you have the opportunity to grow and become a better version of yourself. I say that after battling chronic illness issues for 10 years and recognizing that I would not be the woman that I am today, and I would not show up as the leader that I do today had I not gone through, years and years of barely being able to move or get out of bed and spending, a third of the year in the hospital. I went through all of that to become the person that I am today. And it took a long time to get to that realization, of course, but it's a time to lean in, man. And when we do, the most beautiful things happen.
Last thing I'm going to say is that I used to say this back in the day, man, back in the barbershop days when I was doing this show as a podcast only. And I used to say all the time, in life, pain can be somebody's medicine.
Yes.
Because the pain that you're going through, if you survived it, if you're still breathing, then there's something in that story that most likely can inspire the next person. But it's all dependent on what's next, right? What's your next move? Are you going to continue this race? I mean, we all fall. We all, get behind. But the point is, are you going to quit or are you going to keep going? And I understand, I'm not trying to sugarcoat. I know people have some very tough stories. I'm not knocking it, but at some time you got to stop rehearsing the negatives, and you have to start speaking in the moment the positives. Like, I am bigger than this. I am going to survive. I am going to do my best job. I am going to make progress. I am going to cut this out and cut that out so it makes more room for me to execute the new plans. See, a lot of times we are in our comeback season, but we are wasting time because we're looking in the rearview mirror about woe is me and all my pain, all my struggles, and y'all don't know what I've been through. People tired, man. They tired.
Yeah.
They're not tired. They tired. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hear all that. Everyone, I mean, look at the news. Sometimes you turn on the news, another headline, all these people going through all the stuff that it's like, man, they shouldn't have to go there. Well, hey, breaking news. Somebody's going to do something.
Yeah.
So what I got from this interview is pain is there. You can't knock it. But your choices are still available.
Beautifully.
Had you not choose to go for it, had you not chosen to keep doing what you are doing right now as an entrepreneur, we wouldn't be talking on this show right now.
That was so beautifully said. And I'm going to listen to this episode and re-listen to that over and over again. So thank you, because it's 100% true. And, you know, every pain point gives us an opportunity. And I think if we reframe pain as opportunity, it really is life-changing.
But once again, this interview went by so fast. You can go to her website. Athena Brownson's website is AthenaBrownsonRealtor.com. If you have anything you want us to look out for, a book or any news or whatever in the future, what do you want to say to our audience before we go?
You know, a book is definitely in the pipeline. A lot of public speaking and really just connecting with people one-on-one to help them get through whatever adversity that they're going through. So keep an eye out. I'll keep updating my website. My Instagram is on there as well. I post videos every single day. A lot of them are motivational. And I'd love to connect with anyone. I'm here to be a sounding board or hopefully a little piece of wisdom for someone out there.
Well, like always, you've been listening to I Am Refocused Radio and watching us online. Go to our website. I'm going to plug it one more time, AthenaBrownsonRealtor.com. And like always, Athena, I want to say to you, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. It was such an honor and such a pleasure.